They're stories, they're scary, so I guess just pretend we're doing the rest of the video like this. Let's get started. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Hello homies, welcome to Thumb Together. My name is Andrew Fantasia, and today we're going to be talking about scary stories to tell in the dark together. As usual, if you enjoy this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and give some love to that subscribe button as well. Otherwise, I'll get drafted to Vietnam, because that's a thing that happens here. This movie's set in 1968. First of all, if you're a bit confused as to why this movie has such a weird, cumbersome title, it's because it's based on a little series of books that ran throughout pretty much all of the 80s and early 90s by a guy named Alvin Schwartz. Paperbacks that you would find in your school library, and they had scary-ass stories with scary-ass pictures. The pictures were done by a guy named Stephen Gamble, and man, those were the stars of the show. Those pictures were cray-cray good, and they gave us nightmares. This was one of the few books that I remember the school library would always have trouble keeping in stock, because the kids would love checking this shit out, taking it home, and just giving it a read. That's how ingrained it became in the pop culture zeitgeist back in the day. This was like one of those playground books where it's like, hey, have you read Scary Stories yet? Because Billy did, and apparently he peed his pants when he read it. And Billy's like, no, you peed your pants. The Blue Ranger's the best, you guys. Conversations would usually go like that, because it was the early 90s. Yay. So along comes this movie to adapt all of that. And how do you do that? Because this is essentially just a bunch of books. I think there was like 3 or 4 of these books, and they each contained like a ton of short stories in them. So how do you make that adaptation? Which stories do you pick from? How do you cobble this all together? And the way it was done was so well. I mean, it was put together so smoothly. I'm going to make a bold statement right now. Despite how I feel about the movie itself, whether or not I think it's good or bad, we'll get to that later, I think that this is one of the best book-to-movie adaptations I have ever seen. The way they chose to cherry-pick a handful of stories, kind of smush them together into this overarching plot where it made sense, and where it also made sense to call the movie Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, where it made sense to have the movie be about scary stories with this interconnected little thing going on. This was adaptation at some of its very best. But I guess when you get Guillermo del Toro himself to help cobble out the story of your movie, you're probably going to walk away with a good finished product. So let's talk about that finished product. How is it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it somewhere in between? I think it leans closer to good. I think it really does. It is a solid little young adult movie, but it's treated like an adult movie, and I think that's where the movie saves itself. Yes, the main characters of this film are kids. They're teenagers, and they're young teenagers too. They're not like older, Friday the 13th teenagers who just smoke and have sex, and you're just like, well, they're gonna die. These kids feel young. Still in their training bras. They're still, learning what puberty means. Their voices are cracking. These are young kids. These are like Harry Potter 3 age. Maybe, at most. That would make them 13. Why did I have to complicate it by throwing in a Harry Potter reference? I'm sorry. So on first glance, when you look at a horror movie where the stars are 13-year-old kids, you're like, okay, this is not going to have the biggest stakes in the world. They're going to run from something, they're going to scream a lot, and then at the end of the day, they're going to be all right. Without spoiling stuff, I'm going to say that is not what you can look forward to in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This is a movie with stakes, and it doesn't matter if you're an adult or if you're a 13-year-old. In this story, you will die if the monsters get you. You will straight up die if they get you. That's all there is to it. And I loved that. Not that I love seeing people die. I'm not some kind of twisted soul yet. But I love that they don't sugarcoat this and be like, well, it was a kid's book series, so let's just make it really kid-friendly, and we'll have no stakes, and we'll throw in a pop song from one of the Duff sisters, because I think the kids still like Hilary Duff, right? This isn't like that. This is straight up, like, see this guy crawling down the stairs on the poster? He will kill you if his hands get on you. He is not there to just growl and look scary. He wants to kill some folks, and he is trying his darndest to do so, and that made it so much better than I thought it was going to be. That gave it stakes, it gave it this cool little sense of realism, and it made it matter. It made what I was watching matter at the end of the day. It also starts on Halloween night, and this is just a personal bias, but I love movies set on or around Halloween because I just love that time of year. Something about the atmosphere of late October put to film just gets my motor running in ways the Kama Sutra never could, okay? I don't know what it is about the Halloween season, but when I see it put to film with crisp, beautiful colors and you know, you can smell the chill in the air, you can smell the leaves on the ground, you can feel the fear and the eeriness just sort of permeating everything. That is in at least the first third of the movie, and that really gets me excited when I see that. So right off the bat, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark got points for me. If going to the actual cinema, the movie bijou, is a bit of a chore for you, and if you have to be really choosy about what you go watch in theaters, I'm going to say you can go ahead and skip this for now. But if it ever comes out on Netflix or if it ever comes out on cable and you get the chance to watch it in your home, you know, without having to worry about going out somewhere, do yourself a favor and watch it, because I think you should see this at least once. I think you should check this out and see how they adapted this snippet of books from our youth into this great little movie that has stakes and has, you know, a lot of emotional resonance to it as well. There's some parts that got you choked up a little bit in here, and is genuinely scary, genuinely fun, great Halloween atmosphere. Like, it's a neat little package lumped together into this one movie, and it's not even a very long movie. It's like 98 minutes or something, so you're in and you're out and everything is done before you know it. And if you're a fan of stories that aren't necessarily of the scary variety, then all you have to do is hop over to Amazon and pick up my book, Side Scroller. This is a novel that I wrote. There's me right there, Andrew Fantasia. This is a sci-fi adventure romance that takes place in a world that runs on the logic of video games. Nothing scary about it except for maybe Chapter 14, but we won't get into that here. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. That has been Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That has been Thumb Together. I have been Andrew Fantasia, and you have been beautiful as always. I'll see you here next time, and until then, adios.